Welcome back to the channel. My name is Thomas Fletcher, and I'm the host of the Military Social Work Network. If you're new to the channel, please do me a favor by smashing that like button, by subscribing to the channel, and by sharing this video with your social work colleagues and friends. The purpose of this channel is to create a community of hope and support where military and aspiring military social workers can come for relevant news, information, and inspiration. All right, so just my standard disclaimer that this video is not being sponsored, endorsed, or promoted by any military or government agencies, and the opinions and views stated in this video are mine alone. All right, so in this video we will be talking about the many pathways to serving as a social worker in the U.S. Air Force, and I will do my best to cover them all. The first pathway to serving as a social worker in the U.S. Air Force is that you will need a master's degree in social work from a graduate school of social work that is fully accredited by the Council on Social Work Education. Please check out one of my videos that I made about the CSWE on the other channel, which is the LCSW network, to learn more about the CSWE. The second pathway to serving as a social worker in the U.S. Air Force is you will need to decide if you want to serve as a civilian or as a uniformed U.S. Air Force social worker. The U.S. Air Force needs both civilian and uniformed social workers to provide care for Air Force service members and their families. If you want to serve in the U.S. Air Force as a social worker, you have to be very honest about what types of experiences do you want to have and the time commitment that you want to make to the Air Force. If you're looking for a stable 40-hour-a-week job with good benefits and the opportunity to provide clinical social work services to Air Force service members and their families on military bases around the country and around the world, you should consider serving as a civilian social worker for the Department of the Air Force. And you can find civilian Air Force social work jobs on usajobs.gov. For those of you whom are adventurous, becoming a uniformed social worker may be the pathway for you. If you're ready to serve your country, ready to serve and deploy to military bases around the world, and sometimes even deploy to combat or austere conditions, you may want to consider serving as a uniformed social worker in the U.S. Air Force. So, again, there are many pathways to becoming a uniformed social worker in the Air Force. In this video, I will only cover two of these pathways, and they are ROTC and enlisting. I will not cover OTS, Direct Commission, or the U.S. Air Force Academy in this video. OTS is the Officer Training Service program for Air Force enlisted airmen to become Air Force officers, and there are many videos on YouTube which cover OTS. But let's talk about the ROTC. So the Air Force ROTC is the Air Force Reserve Officers Training Corps. It is a group of college and university-based officer training programs for training commissioned officers of the U.S. Air Force. Air Force ROTC is the largest and oldest source of commissioned officers in the U.S. Air Force. Air Force ROTC's stated mission is to produce quality leaders for the U.S. Air Force. Air Force ROTC units are located on 145 college and university campuses with 1,100 additional installations of higher learning participating in crosstown agreements that allow their students to attend Air Force ROTC classes at a nearby host college or university. In 2006, the Air Force ROTC commissioned 2,083 U.S. Air Force second lieutenants, with Air Force ROTC enrollment ranging from 23,605 in 1985 to around 13,000 enrolled today. The Air Force ROTC offers a variety of highly competitive college scholarships ranging from 3-year and 4-year scholarships, 2-year and 3-year scholarships to college students enrolled as Air Force ROTC cadets, and 2, 3, and 4-year scholarships offered to enlisted military personnel. I will put the web links for these Air Force ROTC scholarships in the description below. So Air Force ROTC cadets spend the first 2 years of training in the general military course and the last 2 years in the professional officers course. The Air Force ROTC program is also divided into training functions. The academic classroom program, which consists of aerospace studies classes, and cadet activities, which consist of leadership, field training, physical training, and other training. After completing all Air Force ROTC and academic degree requirements, cadets accept a commission as second lieutenants in the Air Force, appointed by the President of the United States. The length of the initial commitment depends upon your career. Most officers have a 4-year active duty service commitment. While on active duty, you can pursue a master's degree in almost any subject, including social work, with tuition assistance, which pays up to $250 per semester hour, up to $4,500 per year. If the Air Force needs you to pursue a master's degree in a specific subject, you can apply to a program through the Air Force Institute of Technology, which pays 100% of your tuition. The second major pathway to becoming an Air Force uniformed social work officer is to enlist as an airman right after high school. Serve either in the active duty component or in one of the reserve components, either the Air National Guard or the Air Force Reserve, and use the GI Bill and tuition assistant benefits to pay for your undergraduate and master's in social work degrees. After you complete your master's degree from a CSWE accredited school of social work, you will need to accrue your supervised hours before you can take the ASWB clinical licensing exam for the state that you're working in. If you're serving in one of the reserve components of the Air Force, I would recommend that you apply for a VA social work GS-9 position to get your supervised hours for the licensing exam. If you're an enlisted airman serving in the active duty component of the Air Force, you may want to consider applying to the Air Force Social Work Internship Program. You will need to talk to an Air Force recruiter about how to apply for this very competitive program. If you are a civilian who already has an LCSW, you will also need to speak to an Air Force recruiter to begin the direct commissioning process for either the active duty Air Force or one of the reserve components such as the Air National Guard or the Air Force Reserve. So let's discuss what an Air Force uniformed social worker actually does. Clinical social workers in the Air Force help airmen, officers, and their families improve the quality of their lives. From diagnosing various issues to offering guidance and counseling, Air Force social workers offer services to address mental health, substance abuse, and family advocacy. They also supervise mental health personnel, recommend training and management policies, perform mental health evaluations and therapy, provide consultation and support on policies, procedures, and services to medical staff and leadership, and conduct and participate in research appropriate to their expertise. I just want to reiterate that there are uniform social work positions in all three components of the Air Force, which includes active duty, Air Force Reserve, and Air National Guard. The best way to find these positions is to speak with an Air Force recruiter in your state that is responsible for recruiting clinical social workers. Okay, so let me know your thoughts about this topic. Reminder, I am not an Air Force social worker, but I may pursue one of the reserve components positions in the future. You never know. All right, so I will leave links in the description below to provide you with more information about serving as a social worker in the Air Force. I want to thank you all for watching this video, and for all the social workers out there, thank you for all that you do for your clients, your agency, and for the profession. Please continue to support each other and yourselves. Bye for now.